Let's say you overestimate your deductions and get a bigger refund than you should have. That's our next scenario, the mistaken deduction. Imagine a homeowner mistakenly claims a deduction they weren't eligible for, leading to an inflated refund. Now they're worried about repaying that extra money, plus maybe even interest. This is a common fear, and understandably so. Sam, can you shed some light on how taxpayers can avoid this situation in the first place? How can they verify their eligibility for deductions before hitting the submit button on their tax software?
Absolutely, Alex. The IRS website is an invaluable resource. Publication 17, Your Federal Income Tax, covers a wide range of deductions and the specific requirements for each. For homeowners, for instance, there are deductions related to mortgage interest and property taxes, but there are specific rules about what qualifies. For example, not all home improvements are deductible.
So if I'm thinking about upgrading my kitchen, I shouldn't just assume I can deduct those expenses.
Exactly. A kitchen remodel generally isn't deductible unless it's medically necessary, like making modifications for a disability. Routine upgrades increase the value of your home, which is good, but they don't qualify for a current deduction.
That's a great example of how seemingly simple deductions can have nuances. Taylor, let's say someone does mistakenly claim a deduction and now has to repay the IRS. What are their options?
This reminds me of what we discussed about underreported income, amending the return, right? But what are the implications of repaying? Could this impact my credit score?
Amending using Form 1040-X is the correct way to address a mistaken deduction. Regarding your credit score, repaying a mistaken refund itself doesn't directly impact it. It's the failure to repay and the subsequent collection actions that could potentially harm your credit.
That's an important distinction. And Sam, what about interest? Our listener in this scenario is worried about that too.
The reference article mentions interest accrues on the excess refund from the original filing date or the date you filed, whichever is later, until you repay. The sooner you correct the mistake, the less interest you'll owe. There are payment options if you can't afford to repay the full amount immediately.
So, if I understand correctly, proactively verifying deduction eligibility through IRS resources or by consulting a tax professional is key to avoiding this whole mess. And if a mistake does happen, amending quickly is the best course of action to minimize the financial impact.
Precisely, Taylor. You hit the nail on the head. So, to recap our discussion on mistaken deductions, always double-check your eligibility, utilize IRS resources and publications like Publication 17, and don't hesitate to consult with a tax professional if you're unsure. Correcting mistakes swiftly minimizes interest and potential penalties. A little caution up front can save you a lot of stress down the road.